Okay, here we are on December the 23rd in the year of our Lord 2025. Tomorrow's Christmas Eve. I hope you're ready for it. I'll never be ready for it, but at any rate, I hope you are. Let me go ahead and click on my Murtech on Rumble link to get us over here to my Rumble channel. There we are. Okay, this is the video that we're going over this evening. Episode 1785. It says upcoming, but as you know, you are actually watching it. So let's go ahead and click into that. Let me close out the live chat, slide down here, and click the Show More button to expand the description box out. And we have information from American Center for Law and Justice, Sekulow Clip, Doug in Exile, Dr. Steve Turley, and Wendy Bell Radio. But before we get into that, I do have a shout out to give, a bunch of shout outs actually. Godchick J just started following my channel. I think that's Delta Ridge. Just started following my channel. Brad, the Florida Patriot, just started following my channel. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. All right, let's move on here. M41 Coco reposted my episode 1784. Debbie BS commented on my extra 569A and 569B and 569C. So thank you very much for your comments and reposting my videos. I greatly appreciate that. Let me give this a thumbs up. Boom. There we go. Okay. And if you don't mind, folks, I have one of those little thumbs up icons right here below the video that you're watching. If you could slide down and click that for me or tap that on your phone, I would greatly appreciate it. All right, let's jump into this. Before we get into this, I did raid LFA TV, so I want to share that with you here for just one moment. Here we go. Oh, let me jump back here. There. Oh, man. Got the wrong link there. Here we go. Let's try this. There we go. Here we go.
For the season. All right, let's get into this today. We have 6,222 people watching. Thank you very much for being here live. Please do me a favor. Come into the video and click that thumbs up for us. We appreciate it.
Do that for me too.
Murtech has rated this stream. Everybody, please follow Murtech. I don't think they've rated the stream before, at least not that I'm aware of. But thank you, Murtech. Merry Christmas to you and your following. God bless you. Anybody who comes over here from that channel, we appreciate you being here. Today we're talking about...
All right, let's jump back over here and go ahead and get into this. So I just wanted to share that out with you, that pat on the back I got from LFA TV. Okay. Let's get into American Center for Law and Justice, Sekulow, biggest fraud in history. All right, well, that sounds interesting. Let's check it out.
Federal officials say the scale is even worse than we first thought and warned that more than a half of $18 billion, you're looking at the numbers here, paid out across state programs since 2018 may have been fraudulent.
Of course, it's a big update on that fraud scheme, scam, whatever you want to call it, that was coming out of the state of Minnesota. Under 10 walls. And what we thought originally was a $1 billion scam looks like maybe upwards of $9 billion. And it's very easy to just change that one number and be like, oh, 1 billion, 9 million. Remember, or 9 billion. Remember when you talk about each additional billion, how many millions that billion is, Will?
That's right. I mean,
you can do that math for me.
Exactly. It's 9 times more.
Okay, well, $1 billion is 1,000 million dollars, okay? You got to have 999 million, then you add one more million to it, and it's $1 billion, okay? So he's talking about $9,000 million here.
One.
Yes, I know that.
Yeah.
But when you think of the scale of $1 billion,
it's a lot of money.
It's so much that it's almost an unfathomable amount when you start talking about multi-billion.
Yeah, and at some point you get almost like number fatigue. Like when the U.S. government talks about trillions of dollars, you're like, I don't comprehend that, so I'm not even going to think about it. But I feel like the same happens similarly with billion. We were shocked when we thought $1 billion of taxpayer money had been fraudulently taken from the Minnesotans as well as the American taxpayers. But now we're finding out from the assistant U.S. attorney that it is $9 billion is more likely, which is half of the amount of federal funding for these Medicaid programs throughout 14 different programs that was given by federal government. It's also interesting number here. 9 billion is about roughly the GDP of Somalia itself,
I mean,
a full country.
So
$9 billion.
Their 18 billion that we've now uncovered outdoes their own country of origin, Somalia, by $7 billion. Their fraud scheme does better than the entire country's GDP in just this small matter of time. But you think about it, you say, how do they do this and no one paid attention? That's what happened. You don't have to be.
How do you spend $9,000 million?
You don't have to be really smart. All they did was they made up fake nonprofits with fake imagery, fake buildings, fake healthcare centers. And you guess what, Logan? I guarantee you in Minnesota, Tim Walton, no one looked to see if they were real.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, this would not have been hard to figure out. If someone said they were doing a business or a nonprofit or housing or healthcare, they'd have to be filing with you. You'd have access to their records. You'd also be able to drive down the street, see if the business is actually operating.
Yeah.
Where is this healthcare being provided? Not hard questions.
I think we should play this bite because it's what we referenced earlier. This is from Assistant U.S. Attorney for the District of Minnesota. His name is Joe Thompson, and he had this to say at that press conference when going over all of this. This is bite 7.
And taxpayers deserve to know the truth of the fraud. The fraud is not small. It isn't isolated. The magnitude cannot be overstated. What we see in Minnesota is not a handful of bad actors committing crimes. It's a staggering industrial scale fraud. It's swamping Minnesota and calling into question everything we know about our state.
So as the federal government continues to look into this, you also think that there is real trouble for the politicians there, Jordan. Ilhan Omar is up for a re-election because she's a member of the House, and that comes up every several years. She had some of these individuals that have already been convicted of fraud. She had some ties to. But then you also think about the governor who oversaw all this. The buck stops with him. He is the executive of the state, and he's up for re-election trying to become the first third-term governor in Minnesota modern history. But this is all going on as we look at. You can't deny that the political implications are probably what those members of the Minnesota elected body are thinking of, more so maybe even than the $9 billion that could have gone to Minnesotans who needed it instead of to fraudsters who stole it.
Remember how I played this off at the beginning? Like this is nothing.
Right.
This is like racism. It was Islamophobic, I guess, and xenophobic to even claim that there were more than a few bad actors. And they tried to say, well, this was happening all over the country and everybody was doing this.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
there was a lot of fraud. But to have one community take half of an entire state's allotment of funding, half, and did nothing with it but send it places and make it disappear. And so now Somalia, which is a terrorist state, has had an influx of $6 billion more than they make a year in their GDP. Think about that. We just as taxpayers, because of Tim Walz and the morons working there who I guess just wanted to look the other way so they didn't get called Islamophobic for just trying to look out for crime, have realized now they have funded a terrorist state, which also is a good place for foreign terrorists to live in because it's hard for our U.S. military to operate there. So dangerous. That's also the pirates. That's still happening on a basis. So we just gave Somalia an extra year and a half of money.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of these quotes that were
So you're
coming
hard
out
on taxpayer dollars.
from this first assistant U.S. attorney.
Yeah, I was just thinking here, maybe I should try to go over to like Iran or China or I don't know, down to Venezuela and maybe try to open up a food pantry or something for needy kids and scrape out $1 million. Because if they said anything to him, I could just claim that they were being racist. Do you think that would work? Do you think I could do that? No.
Joe Thompson, one of my favorite quotes is, every day we look under a rock and find a new 50 million fraud scheme.
Yeah. I mean,
$50 million.
50 million is
every day
tiny compared to 18 billion.
Yeah.
I've been stealing half of a government's program. Look, to even think that that's like something you get away with is wild.
All right, there you have it. Let me click on the Rumble link there and show you that this video does come from American Center for Law and Justice, ACLJ, a Sekulow clip. And it's amazing, folks, how these Democrats get away with this. They've been getting away with it for probably decades, okay? All right, it just happened to come up probably because Trump isn't held down like he was under his first term. Now, under his first term, you know, there was always the consideration he had that, you know, re-election. He couldn't piss too many people off because he was coming up for re-election, even though he won the election, but they stuck Joe Biden in there. This time, you know, he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care what his popularity is. He doesn't care because he's not running for re-election. He can't. Okay? So he really doesn't care if people like what he's doing or they don't like what he's doing. I mean, he kind of cares about the midterms, but I believe this next year things are really going to start falling into place. All right? And with that being said, let's jump back here and slide down and see what Doug in Exile has to say about Tulsi Gabbard reveals the real enemy. All right, let's check this
History. Welcome to Doug in Exile. Here's Tulsi Gabbard.
Talk about this Islamist ideology. Yes, it is the ideology that fuels terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda and ISIS and Al-Shabaab and Hamas and Boko Haram and others. And they must be defeated militarily.
Islam, these people must be defeated. Tulsi Gabbard adds, militarily. I believe it's a correct to the free speech ending in America, or in Europe anyway, Islam, over judging Islam. So I'm with Tulsi Gabbard on this, and we're united in Israel in having a common enemy, which is that not only is Islam absolutely genocidal against Israel, they're also genocidal against America and free speech and Christians. So we have a common enemy, and that alone is worth uniting with Israel. Not getting sucked into foreign wars. I didn't say that, so don't go all isolationist on me. You already know I'm not a big supporter of libertarian isolationism. I think it's a really dumb philosophy, but that's just me.
As they continue to actively plot and try to attack us, they are a threat to our security and our safety. But this Islamist ideology is a direct threat to our freedom because at its core, it is a political ideology that seeks to create a global caliphate that governs us here in America, threatening Western civilization, governance by Sharia law, governance by what they are calling Islamic principles. And if you fail to comply, if you fail to adhere to this ideology, if you dare to exercise your God-given right to free speech, censorship is not what we face. They will use violence or any means they deem as necessary to silence us. If we don't take action to identify this threat, to define it, to call it out for what it is, and take action to defeat it, then we will find ourselves in a place where many European countries and countries like Australia have found themselves. Countries where you can get arrested for praying silently on the street corner, as has happened in the UK. Countries where you can be arrested for putting a social media post that someone finds offensive somewhere. The threats from this Islamist ideology come in many forms. As we approach Christmas right now in Germany, they are canceling Christmas markets because of this threat. In places like Dearborn, Michigan and Minneapolis, Minnesota, Islamist clerics
are openly pushing this Islamist ideology, trying to recruit and radicalize young people. Earlier this year, there was a conference that was held representing
Okay, enough said. We have a common enemy, our Islamists. Israel has that same common enemy. It's like what Boromir said of Gondor. Gondor's right there on the border of Mordor. And he said, we've kept your kingdoms safe by taking the brunt of Mordor. We, Gondor, have kept your other kingdom safe. Israel does the same thing. They take the brunt of Islamicists, and we benefit from that greatly. Now, I wrote this post because I went to Grok. I'm all for, hey, dump Israel. Fine. Let's pretend like we just dump Israel. And I'm not going to address that scripture, those who bless Israel will be blessed. I'm going to address something else. Let's pretend that we just dump Israel and go to Ben Shapiro and say, hey, you're trying to add this to the party platform. How dare you add Israel and Judaism to the party platform? I'm a Christian. I have no allegiance to Israel or Judaism other than their shared contribution to this country and to the Western world, which has been great. But here's what I wrote. Ben Shapiro is calling out anti-Israel influencers as an act of defense. That includes Steve Bannon and Tucker Carlson. It doesn't matter to me the motive of Zionism, because, say, Ben Shapiro is religiously sworn to Israel. Trump might only be pro-Israel because his daughter, Ivanka, married Kushner. It doesn't have to be a religious adherence to Zionism for Trump to be all for, moving the embassy back to Jerusalem and supporting Israel. I've always defended our commitment to Israel on other grounds also worth fighting for. But note the fact that Israel's been part of both parties' platforms since 1948. This is where my being a conservative Republican kicks in. This is part of our tradition. It extends to Trump's 2024 platform that includes support of Israel. So that also makes it MAGA by definition. As you guys know, that's my bias. I'm a Republican. I'm a conservative. I believe in conserving good things. And I'm MAGA. And supporting Israel is all three of those. I'm not that into Israel, guys, but my values inform me to say you need to defend this as part of the Republican platform. And any calls to jettison or remove our allegiance to Israel or the Jews is a new thing. It may not be radical, but it's new. And Steve Bannon and Tucker Carlson and these other people that are saying all this influence of Israel, they're the ones that are outside of tradition and what we've always conserved. So I went to Grok and said, show me the history of our Republican Party platform with Israel. Israel's been mentioned in nearly every GOP platform since the 1970s, often framing it as a key ally, U.S. strategic interests, emphasizing military aid, qualitative edge, opposition to a Palestinian state in earlier years, rejection of terrorism, PLO and Hamas, and recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital, with calls to move the U.S. embassy, which Trump did. Themes include preventing Russia or Iranian influence, direct negotiations for peace, and anti-BDS measures in recent years. Below is a year-by-year summary. And by the way, this started back in 1948, right? Israel becomes a nation, or we give them the nation after 1944, 1948. And every year after that, we as the Republican Party conservative platform is to support Israel. Here's 1972, mentioned support of Israel's right to peace and security, pledges military and economic aid, which is for direct negotiations, and opposes defense cuts that could endanger Israel. This is to the people who just go, hey, America first. Hey, America first. America first, going all the way back to 1948, included Israel. So I'll let you guys unpack that. I'm only saying it's not easy enough to just say America first, no foreign aid. You're not conserving what we have been. Now, you may want to change it, but you have to make your case. And that's what we're arguing over in our party right now. 1976 mentioned enduring commitment to Israel's security with military aid. 1980 mentioned reaffirms commitment to Israel's sovereignty and security through aid, supports direct negotiations for peace, opposes imposed solutions, and states Jerusalem as undivided capital. 1984, that's under Reagan. This is also under Reagan. So again, if you want want to try and make your case that you're conservative in a way that Reagan was not, that's not a place where I'm willing to go. Mentioned foundation of policy is the moral and strategic relationship with Israel, pledges qualitative military edge and aid, supports free trade agreements, opposes PLO unless it recognizes Israel, and states Jerusalem is undivided. 1988, it's mentioned, institutionalized strategic partnership with aid and joint. Do you guys see it's including our financial commitments to military with Israel? 1992, it's mentioned broadened strategic relationship. 1996 mentioned Israel's security is central to U.S. interests. 2000 mentioned, commits to Israel's security edge. 2004, Israel's security and right to self-defense, supports two-state solution with Palestinian reforms, resolved refugees in Palestinian state, not Israel, and calls for embassy to move to Jerusalem, which Trump honored. 2008 mentioned supports Israel's security and qualitative advantage. 2012 mentioned unequivocal commitment to Israel's security and qualitative edge. 2016 mentioned unequivocal support as a beacon of democracy, recognizes Jerusalem as eternal capital with embassy move. 2020 not mentioned. The platform was a short resolution reaffirming the 2016 platform with no new content. And under Trump, in 2024 mentions to stand with Israel and seek peace in the Middle East, rebuild alliances for stability, and combat anti-Semitism in context of threats with Israel. Guys, I'm telling you, I changed my position after I read that pass to be more pro-Israel. That's my position. It is conservative, it's Republican, and it's MAGA. So everyone who wants to come in and diss Israel now and say we have to realign and non-commit, whatever, I just want you to say, you have to make your case, prove it, and have all of the Republican Party change to agree to it, because you're the new kid on the block, not me. And frankly, you sound like the Democrats and Mamdani, the Islamicists. You're carrying their water, I believe. And that's also where I'm going with Tulsi Gabbard. The true enemy is the Islamicization, Islamicists, not Israel. And we're taking our eye off the ball. So that's kind of my position. Now, to the Jews, they have to remember one thing, because the Jews are Christ deniers. And here's J.D. Vance, which I'm going to summarize. We're a Christian nation.
Time I can recount. People are talking about American identity and figuring out what it is that unites us. But I want to say something here. The only thing that is truly served as an anchor of the United States of America is that we have been, and by the grace of God, we always will be a Christian nation.
Big applause, man. Let that standing ovation sink in. In case you guys think I'm abandoning my Christianity by supporting Israel, the Jews in America and the pro-Israel Zionists like Ben Shapiro, who deny Jesus Christ as their savior, have to realize that, number one, we're a Christian nation. Now, what do you think? Let me know in the chat below. I'm Doug in Exile.
Okay, there you have it, folks. Let me show you here that this video does come from Doug in Exile. I am subscribed to his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I thought that was information good to share, and that's why I shared it with you. Okay, let's jump back here and see what Dr. Steve Turley has to say about Mark Kelly has public meltdown as the military takes control. All right, let's check this out. All right, if Rumble will take off, we'll be in great shape here. We're just waiting on Rumble. Let me do a refresh here and see what happens.
Really bad for Senator Mark Kelly, and he knows it. Now, for weeks, Kelly's been dismissing the Pentagon's review as just political theater. He's been laughing it off on podcasts, calling it kabuki theater, playing the tough guy. But in the last few days, the laughing stopped, and the panic is starting to palpably set in. Hey, gang, It's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here with breaking news and analysis you're not going to get anywhere else. So make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. The walls are indeed closing in on Senator Mark Kelly. As many of you know, Kelly appeared in that video with the 5 other Democrats urging troops to disobey what they called illegal orders from the Trump administration, a video that deliberately attempted to disrupt and destabilize the U.S. military chain of command, even though not a single one of the seditious 6 could cite a single command that was even remotely illegal. But as part of the consequences for that idiotic and seditious stunt, Kelly is now facing a nightmare situation. The Pentagon has officially moved his case from a preliminary review to what's called a full command investigation. So this isn't just a headline anymore. This is a very serious legal process that promises to explode into a full-blown political earthquake. It's the exact same mechanism that took down Lieutenant William Calley. If you remember back in 71, he was the U.S. Army officer convicted by court-martial for the premeditated murder of 22 unarmed South Vietnamese civilians during the My Lai massacre. Or Chelsea Manning, you might remember that, the former U.S. Army intelligence analyst who was convicted by court-martial back in 2013 for violating the Espionage Act after leaking hundreds of thousands of classified military and diplomatic documents to WikiLeaks. Bo Bergdahl as well, he was court-martialed for desertion. The process that Kelly is going through right now, as we speak, is the exact same process that all of these court-martial situations went through. And the moment that realization of what all of this really means, the moment that settled in, we watched a sitting U.S. senator go into a full-blown public meltdown.
Folks, you got to understand that our military swears an oath to the Constitution, not to a person, not to the president. An oath that requires them to refuse illegal orders. And, we still don't know if they're actually going to try to follow through on this court-martial of me, but we do know that they're moving forward with something, this command investigation, as they call it. I want all of you to know that no matter what happens to me, I am not backing down, because this really isn't about me. This is about all of us. This is about every member of the military, every retired person, every U.S. citizen.
Yeah, blah, 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 blah. I mean, this is the go-to playbook for every single Democrat who gets caught in illegal activity. I mean, this isn't about me. This is about us. This is about us. This is about all of it. No, sorry, Senator Kelly. This is all about you. In fact, it's entirely about you. We didn't blatantly commit sedition. You did. Don't hide behind us. This all belongs to you. Now, true to form, what you just heard there was a blatant lie. All right. You just heard Mark Kelly claim that the Constitution requires a military personnel to refuse illegal orders, right? You heard him say that. We take an oath. We don't take an oath to a man. We take an oath to the Constitution, and the Constitution requires us to refuse illegal orders. You heard that. In fact, all the seditious 6, every one of them, have been spreading that exact same lie. The law does not, I repeat, does not at any point require that military personnel have a duty to disobey unlawful orders. That is a blatant lie that the seditious 6 are routinely spreading. The law does not at any point say that military personnel have a duty to disobey unlawful orders. What the law does say is that they have a duty to disobey manifestly unlawful orders. And that one word makes all the difference. Orders that are clearly, objectively, unanimously recognized by all as illegal, by everyone involved. What is so blatantly seditious here is you've got an entire political party that's been claiming that deploying the National Guard is unlawful, that blowing up Venezuelan narco-terrorist boats is unlawful. But obviously there's a difference of opinion on that. But the fact that there's a difference of opinion completely pulls the rug out from under the notion of manifestly unlawful. A manifestly unlawful order, by definition, is recognized as illegal by everyone. Whereas an order that the Democrats simply don't like, by definition, is not manifestly unlawful. So that's why Kelly and the seditious six are blatantly lying here. They're leaving out the key qualifier for disobeying, for a legal disobedience of unlawful orders. And that's the manifest qualification. It must be considered illegal by everyone, not just a bunch of rabidly woke leftists. Now, you can hear the panic in that video. Mark Kelly is not a civilian. He's a retired Navy captain receiving a pension. And under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, that means he belongs to them. And a command investigation isn't just a casual chat. It's a formal, structured, fact-finding process ordered by a military commander. It's governed by strict military law, not civilian opinion. And its sole purpose is to gather evidence to determine if a service member committed misconduct. And here's the kicker. The investigation is the gateway. It is the specific legal prerequisite that allows the military to move to administrative discipline, non-judicial punishment, or in the most serious cases, an Article 32 hearing, which is the military equivalent of a grand jury before a general court martial. So this is exactly what President Trump has been calling for days ago. He took to Truth Social and wrote, quote, "There are laws that impact our nation." Read Title 18, Chapter 115, Section 2387. "Whoever with the intent to interfere, impair, influence the loyalty, morale, or discipline of the military and naval forces is to be fined or imprisoned up to 10 years. And then he cited Commander Kirk Lippold as giving that commentary, citing that. And he said, Trump said, this is right on point. Do what must be done. So Trump, from day one of this stunt, has been calling for a court martial. Kelly knows this. He served for decades. He knows that once this door opens, he loses control of the narrative. The military justices don't care about your Senate seat. It don't care about your law. It doesn't care about your rhetoric or anything like that. It cares only about the Uniform Code of Military Justice. And as a retiree drawing a pension, Kelly is still subject to that code. So how's he handling it? Well, pretty badly. Waiting till you see his answer that he gave at the latest press conference regarding his court martial. This is going to absolutely make your day. Do you know what the new thing?
Okay, he's going into a commercial here, so let me skip past that.
It's amazing stuff. Don't wait on this, gang. That's TurleyTalksCrypto.com to secure your family's future today.
Surprised by the answer. Has DOD reached out to you at all as a part of their investigation? The last thing I heard from DOD regarding the personal was in 2011 when I retired from the United States and was given the Legion of Merit for my service. So again, this is all a bunch of bullshit. And the reason why, I think, is because this is just about sending a message to retired service members, active duty service members, government employees. Do not speak out against this president or there will be consequences.
Well, there you have it. I mean, that's the related talking point. This isn't about me, right? This isn't about me. This is about all of us. We stand together. We stand against this. No, I'm sorry, Senator Kelly. No, this is about you. It's about you. This is all you. It's about you blatantly lying about the constitutional oath taken by our servicemen and women. You blatantly lied about it in order to deliberately destabilize the chain of command in our military, which puts our entire nation at risk. This is all about you and your seditious act. Nice try at deflection, but it's all you. Now, another deflection Kelly has been consistently throwing out there is and of course the legacy media has been amplifying it because, the Democrats and the media are one. They're basically the same. One runs for office and the other one runs to cameras. But there's this claim that Pete Hegseth himself often stated in the past that military members should refuse illegal orders. So Kelly's basically running with this accusation that Hegseth is a hypocrite. Kelly isn't, in other words, Kelly isn't doing anything that Hegseth didn't himself do. But again, true to form, Kelly is misleading us here. There's a massive legal distinction that Kelly is praying you don't notice. So in 2016, when Hegseth was a civilian commentator discussing hypothetical war crimes, he did make some comments like that. Mark Kelly, by contrast, is a retired naval officer still taking a pension, a sitting U.S. senator who used his rank to tell active duty troops to question their chain of command without citing a single actual illegal order. That's the definition of good order and discipline violations under the USMJ. You cannot throw the chain of command into question based on vibes or based on your own political radicalism. When you do that as an officer, as Kelly blatantly did, you are playing with fire. Bottom line, Kelly is trying to generate public sympathy because he knows he has no legal ground to stand on. He knows that. He knows his public comments misrepresented the Constitution. He knows his public comments misrepresented the legal requirements of military members. He knows that. He's not an idiot. I think when all's said and done, Mark Kelly is trying to position himself, or was trying to position himself, for 2028. He looked at how Gavin Newsom's poll numbers went up immediately after he started confronting President Trump. And so Kelly took a page from that playbook and tried to exploit his military service in precisely that capacity. And it boomeranged on him. He stepped in it. He literally stepped on a landmine. And now he's facing the very well-deserved consequences. The Seditious Six video wasn't just a political stunt. It was a retired captain telling the military and the intelligence community to prepare to defy the commander-in-chief. That's not just dangerous. That's not merely reckless. It is, in the eyes of both the President of the United States and the Secretary of War, seditious. And for the first time in a long time, the Pentagon is saying actions have consequences. Do you want to ask me your biggest questions and maybe win free merch while you're at?
All right. There you have it. Great. I thought a great report on that. Great information. I like Dr. Steve. I followed him for probably about 7 or 8 years.
Media.
Okay, so let's come over here and show you that this video does come from Dr. Steve Turley. I'm following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's get back here and listen to Wendy Bell. Now, I will say this about that. Wendy seems to be just a little bit ticked off today. So let's jump over here and see what she has to say. Let me get this up here. Ooh, yeah, I thought I had this set up and went right back to the beginning here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're hearing Joe Biden in
Wendy Bell radio program.
Here we go. Let's go to the party.
Well, hello, America. Greetings to all of you across the beautiful fruited plain. Do you remember that open that we played in the run-up to the presidential election last year? Do you remember hearing Joe Biden in those clips telling you it's not about getting to vote, it's about who gets to count the vote? Ladies and gentlemen, my. Doesn't all of this come so beautifully full circle as the big lie has officially unraveled? And all of you out there, you conspiracy, MAGA extremist, tinfoil hat wearing theorists, vindication tastes just so sweet. Welcome to the Wendy Bell radio program. Got a great show for you today. We're going to talk about all sorts of stuff. A lot of fraud, absolutely, but some really great economic news. A new poll about Trump and his approval, which makes you go, all of this and so much more on our app, if you so choose to follow along the live video stream, all 3 hours on video. It's a rest, but we do it anyway. WendyBellRadio.com. Welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. You know, it's the thing about being right, when you don't necessarily want to be patted on the back about being right, you just want a right to be had and a wrong to be fixed. It's really frustrating. I want to take a victory lap. I want all of you out there who had common sense and who watched what went on in the 2020 election in specific, who said something, who were demonized, vilified, demonetized, deplatformed. Some who even were arrested, wrongly prosecuted, and basically thrown away for the rest of their lives. You were right. And you've known it all along, and now the world is starting to see. The dam is breaking, my friends. The truth about the 2020 election. And look, we gave it to you yesterday. You're not going to hear what I played for you yesterday. Internal Fulton County, Georgia debrief on the 2020 election and why one specific guy on the elections board did not certify the vote for Joe Biden, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And he told everybody else, y'all knew it was broken. It was rigged. It was a sham. It was a purposeful fraud. It was theft, by golly. And now it's all coming undone. I want every newspaper, journalist out there, every reporter, every editor, every paper that decided to put something out vilifying one of us who were like, you know what? That was so weird because when I went to bed in my state, Donald Trump was up by 700,000 votes. And I went to bed at 11:45. I woke up the next morning and he had lost by 80,000. Are you out of your mind? Well, hundreds of thousands of votes not legitimately verified. We know in Fulton County, Georgia, ladies and gentlemen, officials now admitting 1.7 million original ballot images were destroyed. It's so shocking, isn't it? Like, why ever would that be? Oh, you mean wipe it clean with a cloth? Smashing your BlackBerry with a hammer, right? It's all so odd. Tabulator tapes are missing or unsigned for nearly all early voting. 315,000 ballots. 1.7 million ballot images wiped out. Chain of custody broken. No way to authenticate the ballots. It's not a mistake, ladies and gentlemen. It is either systemic failure at best, fraud at worst. Either way, give us a break. All of you who lied about the big lie because you were either too corrupt or too lazy to think for yourselves. We blame you. All of you running around, all of you Democrats running around, loving Joe Biden, loving DEI, transgender everything, because that makes sense. Abortion until birth. Boy, is that special health care. Fraud, corruption, abuse, waste, human trafficking, drugs. Oh my goodness. It's on freaking you. 20 million people who invaded our border. God knows how many of them terrorists on you. And now all of a sudden you have a Generation Z that's looking in the mirror and saying, am I honestly going to be the first generation in my family that doesn't realize the American dream because the Democrats stole it from me? That's the story, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't apologize for being freaking fired up. You knew. I knew. And they knew you knew. And so they created an insurrection. An endless drip of arrests, shakedowns, SWAT team knockdowns on the door, rifles, full metal, armored vehicles. For what? To hunt down people who love America and will fight for her sovereignty to the death. That's why. Joe Biden just told you in that open we played, I don't need you to get me elected. He knew. He knew what they were doing. He was well aware of it. I need you to help me once I'm elected. Really? The big lie. And when the insurrection failed to hold the water long enough, Donald Trump emerged as a threat again. They ginned up one indictment after another, 4 in like a month. 91 criminal charges. Judges who muzzled the president, kept him essentially shackled to the courtroom. And a parade of garbage news from a corrupt, filthy propagandist media that now doesn't understand where'd you go? What happened to you? Where did our viewers go? Come back. I found an article. I want to read you 2 paragraphs of it. It was written about a month and a half after Donald Trump took the oath of office. So this past March. A great unraveling is underway, says the author of this article from the New York Times. His name is Thomas Friedman. This is what he says. If you're confused by President Trump's zigzagging strategies on Ukraine, tariffs, microchips, or a host of other issues, it's not your fault, it's his. What you are seeing is a president who ran for re-election to avoid criminal prosecution and to get revenge on people he falsely accused of stealing the 2020 election. Hey, Thomas, how do you like me now? He never had a coherent theory of the biggest trends in the world today and how to best align America with them to thrive in the 21st century. Hey, Thomas, I've got $18 trillion that you should probably choke on right now. And once he won, Trump brought back his old obsessions and grievances with tariffs and Putin and Zelensky and Canada and staffed his administration with an extraordinary number of fringe ideologues who met one overriding criterion: loyalty first and always to Trump and his whims, above and beyond the Constitution, traditional values of American foreign policy, or basic laws of economics. Really? You know what he got, Thomas? He got overall inflation of 20% from the Biden administration. They handed off home prices that were up 35%, Thomas. How about mortgage rates? Triple-digit increase, 148%. Hey, Gen Z, know why you can't afford a house? Because of them! Gas prices, 46% higher than Trump left them, and food prices up 21.5%. So as this story continues to unfold, and all of the perps out there and the pimps who peddled you propaganda out the freaking wazoo, they're either guilty of one thing or another, knowing they were lying or being too lazy and triggered to find the truth. And so we did. And here it comes, pouring out, which is why a lot of people want you talking about Epstein.
Yeah.
When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program. I feel much better. How about you guys? Right? Who knew? The immigration and the economy, like what Trump ran on and won on, is why a new poll is out saying, yeah, the majority of people kind of like what he's doing. Suck it, lefties. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
All right. Well, there you have it. I told you she was a little fired up, so there you have it. And yeah, you know, she's right. I mean, that he's doing exactly what, at least I wanted him to do. It's not quite as fast as I'd like for him to have done, but it's coming.
This is what happened when so this is sort of Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. I have a very difficult time believing in any polls. And this is sort of like a science experiment.
Me too.
Once you have a closed science experiment, right, and you have your variables and you have all of the elements of it, you can't bring in something extraneous midway through without fudging everything up, right? So everything gets polluted. This is what happened when so many people in so many different branches of our lives, from education to the border to taxes to medicine, all of this stuff got so sullied by just a handful of bad actors. And now you're like, I don't trust anything. Like when that chick had the poll, the Iowa poll, whatever her face was, and she's like this, Ann Selzer. She's this big, trusted pollster for a gazillion years. She's like, her track record is ridiculously great. And then all of a sudden, the 2024 poll shows Kamala Harris beating Donald Trump in a red state, right? In Iowa by like 11 points. And everybody's like, what? And of course, Trump ended up winning. So she ended up retiring, said she was going to anyway, and kind of slithered away into the sunset. Well, that makes you distrust every poll, right? Because that's how I feel. Now, I'm not going to say to you, I believe this poll because it shows Trump's approval higher. I'm just saying I distrust polls that show that he's underwater by 25 points. In what world are you finding a sampling of the electorate? And finding people who are like, you know what, I really am against this whole prices coming down thing. I'm really opposed to the deportation of people who broke the law to get here, who want to do us harm and siphon off of our goodwill. I really hate this whole idea of uncovering abuse and corruption and fraud, which we pay for. I hate this idea that my taxes are going to come down, that I might get, God forbid, a freaking bone for doing what I do and not being a dirtbag. I hate that, God, I wish Joe Biden was back. Said nobody who had a function. And yet we're supposed to believe that all these polls are like Donald Trump is really underwater. I'm like, okay, whatever. I love it. Love it. So here is this poll. It's an insider advantage one. I'm finding this at Breitbart.com. Trump's approval rating lands at 50%. I don't even believe that. I don't even believe that, to be honest with you, which is 9 points above water. The most recent one we saw, he had a 43% approval rating. This one says 50. This is an outlier, but I don't know. Does that mean it's biased? Or is this the one that's telling the truth? I don't know. You decide. President Donald Trump enjoys 50% approval rating with net approval rating of +9. This is according to the latest polling from Insider Advantage. Look, I share this with you not because I think this bodes any kind of message or, I don't know, premonition for the midterms. I'm just saying that we have to look at what people are talking about because they try to manipulate you. Pollsters try to manipulate. The media manipulate. Administrations manipulate. I just want the truth. Right? I mean, there's a reason I sit here with this stupid camera on my face. I stare at you every day if you watch the live video stream. You can look in somebody's eyes. They stare at you for 3 hours a day and know if they're lying to you, right? I don't lie to you. I question. And isn't it amazing that questioning in this country now is almost more dangerous than lying? See, they need you to, of course, believe everything they tell you. That's the pushback against the 60 Minutes thing, right? We can't lose a precious arm of our propaganda, the conduit through which we can lie to you. I'm so over that, aren't you? So back to this poll. The poll shows that a substantial majority of men give Trump positive remarks, not surprising, positive marks, I should say. Most women disapprove of his performance. I don't know, women, are they just dumb? Is my gender inherently malleable? Are we obviously co-opted, corrupted, and cajoled into believing garbage? Like, where's the critical thought? I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about the ladies out there. Very disappointing. Of the men surveyed, 59% are happy with the president's performance, 34% disapprove. Women, 42% happy, 47% disapprove. I guess the 47% who disapprove, who are the ladies, believe in transgender mutilation of children. You know, because if that's the case, you need to have your head examined. Okay? And you shouldn't be able to even be a part of a poll. This is how far I am with the insanity. You people who don't understand what's going on, what's at stake, that's the problem. That's who we should be polling. How many Americans are so tired of a brainwashed part of the electorate that refuses to wake up, look in the mirror, and realize they've been freaking hypnotized? I just want to go, and you're back. Trump is even with voters under 40. That's big. Even with voters under 40, he enjoys a net positive approval rating among voters 40 and up, a potentially worrying sign for Democrats heading into the 2026 midterm elections. Look, if Donald Trump does these things really well that he's doing, protect us, make America safe again, it involves deporting criminal illegal aliens, and by the way, all the other ones too. It means protecting us from drugs, from people who hate us, getting the kids back, identifying and cutting the money out of the cartels, getting drugs off the streets. If he does that while simultaneously bringing in trillions of new investment, encouraging all the red tape and regulations to get out of the way, build it in America, American made, American pride. And you bring down the cost of goods and services because, you know what, an American that's energy independent is a lot more profitable than one that's begging for oil from the Saudis. I'm sorry. Unstoppable. Unfreaking stoppable. They know it. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, this is going to get you because I'm ticked. This is the source of my ire. The LA Fire Department report a post-mortem on the Palisades fire. Oh boy. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
All right. She's going to be back here about the 35-minute mark here.
It's gold.com.
Let me check this out. She is upset.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. I wish I could open up a consulting room and reach out to and help connect with people with political dreams. Because I would save them a lot of time. Tell the truth. Be honest. Be honest. Because everything we're getting from the past administration and from the media during Donald Trump's 4 years prior has been nothing but garbage. And the more you wake up to the degree to which you have been lied to and propagandized, objectively, in your face, every day. Believe this story. We're all going to tell this story, therefore it must be true. Does not resonate with me. I want to read you this because it is a post-mortem published in the Los Angeles Times from the Los Angeles Fire Department regarding the Palisades fire. January marks a year. Nothing's been rebuilt. We've got no building permits given out, though the federal government has gone through it all. So why? Well, the LA Times obtained 7 drafts of the LA action report on the Palisades fire, and they made some notes, compared versions. You know, good old-fashioned journalism. It's weird. Somebody remembered how to do it. And what they found was deletions and revisions in the drafts amounting to an effort to downplay the failures of the city and the LA Fire Department leadership. The most significant edits involved the fire department's deployment decisions before the fire, as the wind warnings became increasingly dire. I don't know about you, but I know I pay a lot of money for services intended to keep me and my family safe. Do these people not even pay attention? Do they just not even care? I grew up in Southern California. We do fire drills. Now it's probably active shooter drills. We did fire drills and earthquake drills It's always a threat. It is not a new thing. And yet, they were so ill-prepared. Or did they just not care? For months after the Palisades fire, many who had lost their homes eagerly awaited the Los Angeles Fire Department's after-action report, which was expected to provide a frank evaluation of the agency's handling of the disaster. A first draft was completed by August, possibly earlier. And then the deletions and other changes began behind closed doors in what amounted to an effort to downplay the failures of city and LA Fire Department leadership in preparing for and fighting the January 7th fire, which killed 12 people and destroyed thousands of homes. In one instance, LA Fire Department officials removed language saying that the decision not to fully staff up and pre-deploy all available crews and engines ahead of the extreme wind forecast did not align with the department's policies and procedures during red flag days. Instead, the final report said that the number of engine companies rolled out ahead of the fire went above and beyond the standard LA Fire Department pre-deployment matrix. It's a bit of a discrepancy, wouldn't you say? Another deleted passage in the report said that some crews waited more than an hour for an assignment the day of the fire. It's like January 6th all over again. Can we please have the National Guard? Is anybody there? Are you listening? They waited an hour as the fire was raging, right? Another deleted passage in the report said some crews waited more than an hour for an assignment the day of the fire. In fact, the section on failures was renamed Primary Challenges. It feels better, doesn't it? And an item saying that crews and leaders had violated national guidelines on how to avoid firefighter deaths and injuries, well, that was just scratched. We don't really need people to know that. Right. Other changes in the report, which was overseen by then interim fire chief Ronnie Villanueva, seemed similarly intended to soften the impact and burnish the fire department's image. Two drafts contained notes written in the margins, including a suggestion to replace the image on the cover page, which showed palm trees on fire against the orange sky. You've seen it. Close your eyes. It's burned into your brain. But they switched it to a more positive look, such as firefighters on the front line, the note said. The final report's cover displays the LA Fire Department seal. The Times obtained 7 drafts of the report through State Public Records Act. Again, a random act of journalism, which, I'm absolutely gobsmacked. Only 3 of those drafts are marked with dates. 2 versions are dated August 25th. And there's a draft from October 6th, 2 days before the fire department released the final report to the public. No names are attached to the edits. Curious. No paper trail. No chain of custody. No ballot signatures. Kind of sounds familiar, doesn't it? Right? No names are attached. It's unclear if names were in the original documents and have been removed in the drafts given to the Times. The deletions and revisions are likely to deepen concerns over the LA Fire Department's ability to acknowledge its mistakes before and during the blaze and to avoid repeating them in the future. See, I'm going to do it a little better. I'm tired of the soft glove treatment. I'm tired of dancing around the edges of the inferno. Okay? Let's call a spade a spade. I want to know how many of those people who are in charge were diversity hires under DEI. We need to know. That doesn't make me a bad person. It makes me an honest broker. How many of those people were minorities? How many of the people calling the shots were put into their positions because of this woke DEI frenzy, which did nothing for anybody, as, by the way, Clarence Thomas forewarned 30 years ago? How many of those people are Black or Hispanic? How many of them were chosen specifically because of that? Not because they have skills. Not because they're aware of the wind reports. Not because they are keenly aware of the challenges of protecting millions of people in one of America's most populous locations, where the property values, by the way, are sky high. And there sure has been a lot of socialist, progressive, Marxist, communist, Democrat suck interest in putting in low-income housing, 15-minute cities, bring in all the migrants. They'd like to have views of the water too, you know. People are dead.
Thousands of people lost their homes. They lost everything. Every memory, every photo, every single stitch of clothing, every memento from their past. And nobody in Los Angeles seems to care. Some of the drafts described by the Los Angeles Times described an on-duty LA Fire Department captain calling Fire Station 23 in the Palisades on January 7th to report that the Lockman fire started up again, indicating the captain's belief that the Palisades fire was caused by a reignition of the earlier blaze. The reference was deleted in one draft and then restored in the public version, which otherwise contains only a brief mention of the previous fire. Some have said that the after-action report's failure to thoroughly examine the Lockman fire reignition was designed to shield LA Fire Department leadership and Mayor Karen Bass's administration from criticism and accountability. Anybody out there, tell me, other than being a black woman, what is Karen Bass's qualification for being the mayor of Los Angeles? Tell me now. What has she done for the county? What has she done for the city? What has she done for freaking anybody? But provide rampant ineptitude. She was out of country. She bounced when the winds were whipping up. And then when she flew back in after outcry, she lied, evaded the cameras, and then blamed people asking questions for being racist. Weeks after the report's release, the Times reported that a battalion chief ordered firefighters to roll up their hoses and leave the burn area January 2nd, even though they had complained that the ground was still smoldering and rocks remained hot to the touch. Who was the battalion chief? Another battalion chief assigned to the LA Fire Department's risk management section knew about the complaints for months, but the department kept that information out of the after-action report. Why? After the Times report, Bass asked Villanueva, so mayor, asks fire chief, to thoroughly investigate the LA Fire Department's missteps in putting out the Lockman fire. That's code for wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Thomas Crooks on the sloped roof. Make sure you hose off the DNA. Lickety-split now, won't you? A full understanding of the Lockman fire response is essential to an accurate accounting of what occurred during the January wildfires. I could go on and on. Ladies and gentlemen, how many examples do you want? How many whistleblowers do you want? How many rank and file fire department officials? How many firefighters? We're like, well, we rolled up on the scene, but the reservoir was empty. Fire hydrants had been stolen for their copper because everything is so damn expensive in California. Thieves will steal everything, including the catalytic converter off of your freaking car. All people want is the truth. And they want their homes back. They want to rebuild. They want to know why State Farm canceled all of those policies in the weeks leading up to the fire. Mm-hmm. They want to know why their calls to City Hall go unanswered. They want to know why the Democrats, who a couple times every decade come forward and pretend that they care, always end up hurting them. And they want to know why, after a raging inferno that wiped out 12,000 homes and businesses, they can't even get a call back. It's all unraveling. It's all breaking. And we deserve answers on who these commanders were, who these battalion chiefs were. What do you look like, and why were you put into that position? Were you qualified? Do you have a track record? Who are you? Because I was on the phone with my father, those fires came to about a quarter of a mile from the home I grew up in. I know people who lost everything. California deserves better. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, you know, it's interesting. What is the value of a teachers union? Do you guys even, what do they do besides create people like Randy Weingarten who are toxic lesbians? I don't know. Fair, I said it because that's what it is. Oh, well, they're money laundering operations. Really? I know, it's such a shocker. I've got the details for you, and they're interesting. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
Well, did I tell you? She's fired up today. Oh, my goodness. I'm going to move on. I'm going to wrap it up. I will have this video in my daily news wrap-up, so if you want to come back and listen to the rest of it, it's full of great information. I'm 48 minutes into this 2 hour and 59-minute video, so there's 2 hours, 2 more hours of this good stuff. Let me click on the Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Wendy Bell Radio. This is the video I shared with you. I'm following her channel. I've given her a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. And let me remind you, folks, that these videos that I've shared with you are videos that come directly from the producers, okay? I have the links to the videos as well as the links to their channels. I don't get any commissions or royalties for sharing this information out, but I do like to share this information out to give people an alternative to the lies and propaganda of the mainstream media. Okay? This is great stuff. These videos that I've shared with you are videos that I've posted on Murtech.com. Right here's the video from ACLJ, Sekulow, American Center for Law and Justice. Okay, right down here's the video from Doug in Exile. Right here's the video from Dr. Steve Turley. Here's the video here from Wendy Bell. Okay, I'd like to share all this information with you, but I don't have time. That's why I do my daily news wrap-up, where I put more information together and just let it play all night. Again, no nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth. The information that you're not going to get on the mainstream media. Here's the Wendy Bell Radio video that I said I would share the rest of it with you. It's right here. Also information from the Rubin Report, SGT Report, McWater's Effect, official Jovan Hutton Pulitzer, more of Dr. Steve Turley, Black Conservative Perspective, Benny Johnson. I've got it all right here. So I'll go ahead and take a break, though. Grab a cup of coffee and a donut, or a sandwich and a soft drink or a beer, and meet me back here at 9:30, and we'll get this going. Now, before we wrap it up, I do want to remind you, I've mentioned this before, that the day after Christmas, on the 26th, my schedule is going to change here. We're going to be traveling down to Arkansas to visit with my wife's sister down there and her family. Okay, now I normally have my videos start at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Number one, Arkansas is in the Central Time Zone, so that's going to be an hour late. Number two, her son's family, kids, are about the same age as my kids, so they do some heavy playing around, and the kids stay up a little bit later than they normally do. So in reality, my video is going to be starting a couple of hours later than it normally does for about a week. But I will still be sharing information with you, and I'll have my daily news wrap-up as well after my podcast ends. But even through Christmas, I'm going to be sharing this information with you because I feel it's important to provide you and others that you share this information with the truth. We hear so much propaganda. Right here, what Wendy Bell said. I mean, can you believe that people are still voting for Democrats in California? Now, I did hear a report that there's been one house that was rebuilt. One house. Amazing. Out of that fire. Unbelievable. Just keep voting Democrat, folks. You know, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Insanity. Isn't that what that is? Okay. With that being said, though, I do want to thank you for being here with me. I've run over about 13 minutes longer than I normally do, but great information. Let me know what you think. I do want to thank you for being with me. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later here in about 17 minutes, 16 minutes. But thanks again, and may God bless.